Oscar Bevis, IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast here at the Steel City Gym in Sheffield with the IBF Flyweight Champion of the World and the self-proclaimed Twitter god. Actually, not self-proclaimed, because I saw someone call you that yesterday. So,
I'm
the king of boxing Twitter. That's what I am. Which isn't much of an accomplishment, I don't think, because there's not that many people on it, but I'm still the king regardless.
Well, that's why I led with the IBF Flyweight Champion of the World, Mr. Sonny Edwards. How are we, mate?
Yeah, I can't complain. I mean, what are we now, a week and a half out of my first defence, so yeah, just that time of camp when all you're thinking about is fight night and you can't wait to, live your life for a week after a fight. I mean, it's the best. Fight night is the best, you know what I mean? I'll be real, it's the best time to be a fighter.
You're obviously knocking on the door of your first title defence against Jason Mama. I just want to start by asking you this now. I look at fighters like Anthony Joshua, Josh Taylor, Josh Warrington, and they create a certain hype and a certain buzz around their fight weeks. Do you feel like that's happening with you now? Because I'm starting to see, as we're approaching your fight week, a bit more buzz and a bit more hype than I've seen before with you.
I mean, once you got world title attached to it, the fight just stands out that little bit more. But I don't know, I don't really pay too much mind to all of them things. Like, I don't try and compare myself to all them great fighters with great platforms and profiles, because everyone's in their own lane. I mean, just slightly off topic, everyone trying to message me and ask me, what's your opinion on Jake Paul? Doesn't it piss you off that he's earning millions? And it's like, no, because boxers aren't like a product in a shop. They're like pieces of art, and everyone has their own value and what they bring to the table, and we're too unique to really compare each other left and right. So I just stay in my lane and focus on what I'm doing. I live a nice life, a good life. I'm providing for my family. That's all I really care about. And if people want to be nice to me, if people want to be horrible to me, that's on to them. I don't pay too much mind, and hopefully I just get in there, do what I've been doing so far, and hopefully it works again. I mean, I don't see no reason why it wouldn't this time, but I know I've got a live threat in front of me, so I've trained, and planned meticulously for this fight, and I've got the same team and the best team around me that I have all the way through. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I love fighting, I love competing. I mean, if I could fight a couple of times a month, every month, I really, really would. You know what I mean? I don't enjoy anything more than I enjoy actually competing in boxing. Not the training, not the after it. I just like getting in there and fighting and seeing if I'm better than one other person.
One thing I remember you saying before the fight with Mufalani was that you fear losing. Obviously, you don't want to lose now, but is that fear the same as before, or is it a different fear now that you're going in as the champion and as more of a favourite than you were before the fight with Moretti?
Yeah, when I say I fear losing, I just try to avoid it at all costs, you know what I mean? And I don't fear the situations where I could lose in. I think my career so far has shown that quite evidently with some of the fights that I've taken and when I've taken them. But I do hate losing, but I can be a good loser, especially when, the person opposite me is in the same sport, the same space. They've dedicated just as much of their life to it as I have. Like, there's every opportunity for us both to win, both to lose, both to draw. Like, it is what it is. It's a sport, and I think that's a lost on a lot of people that start seeing boxers as video games where nothing personal could ever be affecting anything, or niggles could, you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't read too much into any of that. Win, lose or draw, you'll still see me being the same me now that I was before. I mean, I was 4-5-0 saying I thought I was the best in the world, and I'm still saying it now. You know what I mean? So it's like one thing that a lot of people say to me that I take it as a compliment. I haven't changed an all great deal. Like, I'm still doing the same things and with the same people, and yeah, it's just because I'm being real to myself and I'm enjoying every step of the way. You're not going to see them sort of changes in me, but I hate losing. But I hate losing anything. I hate losing a penny up the wall, FIFA, let alone a world title fight. Do you know what I mean? But if someone beats you fair and square, you shake their hand and you give it to them. The better man won, and that's it. And then you move on and see what's on next. You don't bitch about it. You don't cry about it. You don't kick up your arms. You know what I mean? Because there's been 16 instances so far that I've got in a professional boxing ring, and I've been the man. So obviously I want that to keep going on for as long as possible, but who doesn't? Yeah, it's a sport I enjoy, so yeah, anything can happen. It's the fight business, you know what I mean? It's not, you know what I mean? There's no certainties in this world, ever.
You talk about being the best in the world, and obviously the world title is one piece of, one of the Infinity Stones that shows that. And as per BoxRec, you are actually the number one flyweight in the world. So quick one to BoxRec, because I saw you tweet this as well. Where's the t-shirt?
It's on its way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's on its way. Don't worry about that. I made sure I got that whilst the algorithm is in my favour. Don't worry about that.
It's the hardest picture in boxing when you can wear the BoxRec 1 t-shirt. It is the sickest picture you can get.
Yeah, and I'm gonna wear it every single day when I get it. Obviously, like, I was just kind of being cheeky. Whether people would class me as the number one, I don't know. I would say, got the best win out of the rest of them. I think that's not even questionable. And the rest of my resume is not the worst either when you really dissect it, but that is what it is. Whether or not someone thinks I'm number one, number two, or number 10, when you get in the ring with someone who could be number 150, the fight is what makes the fight, not what numbers on the screen or who people think should be winning. Because otherwise, very few people really had me beat him already confidently. Do you know what I mean? It was, he could do a points thing, but he's most likely going to get knocked out. I mean, this is the same kid that got put down by Granados on Braithwaite. You know what I mean? That was... I read everything, especially when it's about me. That's why knowledge is power. That's why people won't be slagging me off 1 year and then the next 8 months try and ask me for an interview on a different platform and think I won't remember. Do you know what I mean? I've got a very good memory for myself, and some call it narcissism, but I like to think that it's market research. Not that I change any which way, but you know what I mean, I find it quite funny when people take the time out of their day to speak, to message, to comment about me, whether they tag me or not. I find a way to see it. I like it though.
I'm so glad I had my old Twitter account deleted when I used to absolutely slag you off, Sonny. In all seriousness, I've mentioned the BoxRec number one thing, and you say about the belts and the Infinity Stones and that. You call yourself the best in the world, but I don't know, how do you sort of see it? Because you can call yourself it, but then there are 4 belts fragmented with 4 different fighters. So it's one thing saying it out of confidence, but do you actually believe you are the number one, or do you not want to call yourself it too much until you've got the full collection?
No, in my eyes, I'm the best in the world. But like I said, before I had a world title, I tell you I'm the best in the world. Like that doesn't really come into it, but I understand that there's 25% stakeholders on that claim of being the best in the world.
Actually, let me word it differently. Do you feel like you're looking down on the other belt holders then, should I say?
No, definitely not. For me, if you take me out of the equation, it would probably be Dalakayan third, Martinez second, Nakatani first. Taking me out of the equation. For me, but that's just the way I see it. A lot of people see Martinez at the top. Very few people see Dalakayan, but he's a very good fighter who obviously I've sparred quite a few rounds with, so I know he's a very good fighter. That'd be a dangerous fight as well. They're all very good fighters, so. But it's just an exciting time to be a part of it all, you know what I mean? Because there is actually, like, between Nakatani and Martinez especially, there's quite a lot of buzz around them two fighters. And then now I've jumped in and there's a little bit about me. Like, the flyweight division is kind of popping off a little bit more now than it has been for recent times, and I'm hoping to bring a lot of eyes and a lot of light on the flyweight division. Martinez is doing a fantastic job of promoting our division. You got to remember, people think that I'm always wanting these rivals to do bad or not do well, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Like, one of the best things that's happened this year for me is Galal winning a gold medal at the Olympics. I was buzzing, and I need someone like that in the division. I need someone with a purpose-built backstory. We've already fought and I've beat him. My brother and his brother are calling each other out. Maybe if we ever fight in the future, Olympic gold medalist versus world champion, former world champion, whatever at the time. Maybe we'll find a little space for Charlie versus Cowan on the Khan. But I need the dancing partners. Like, the division will only get hot if there's names that people care about. Like, right now, we've got Martinez as the main one that people care about. If I go and do a number on him, like, I'm absorbing all that hype. I'm absorbing all that build-up. Do you know what I mean? And that's going into my legacy. That's what I'm trying to do. And not that I think for a second he'd beat me, even with all this Clenbuterol and water tablets, whatever they used to hide all the rest of the shit they got in them. But I want them fights for my legacy. So at least no matter what happens at the end of my career, I can say I'd fight anyone, and I would. And now I've got to the platform where even if I lose a world title, for me, my profile in the division I'm in, it'll probably be quite easy for me to get the opportunities left, right and centre. I'll get passed by any governing body for any world title right now, around about these times, even with a loss, do you know what I mean? So, and it'll be one of the fights that all these fighters can actually earn a bit more money from, where, you know, there's real good fighters out there that are struggling because they haven't got the profile or the infrastructure behind them. And then there'll be two fighters like that, and then world titles won't even get made because the purse bid to be like £20,000 or something. It's like, you know, the fighters, we need names in the division. We've got Martinez, we've got me, we've got Nakatani, Dalekane to a certain extent, but he needs a bit more people to get excited about. He's not had the best defences, and I think that's his problem. But, you know, we need, and then now Galal coming through, like, we need the characters, we need the names, we need the storylines. And we're getting there. Like, look at Roman Gonzalez. I know it's a super flyweight, but he earned £1 million in his last fight at super flyweight. When was the last time that happened? Not for years, you know what I mean? But we're getting there, man. We're doing it. We're doing it. And it just pays testament to all the good fighters that are out there. I know I'm in the division I'm in. People need to understand that there's quite a lot of fighters, yeah, that will go on and win weights above. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of the flyweights, especially like the 5'6", 5'7" ones, they could be boxing at like lightweight if they wanted to, if they don't want to dedicate themselves, but they boil themselves down to such a weight because, like, they're willing to put their body through much more than other fighters are. I mean, in Britain, half the fighters that we have aren't even boxing in their right weights. Like, I'll tell you that now for nothing, do you know what I mean? They're not, if you compare them to what some people are doing over in other countries. And then when we go international, they just look much, much bigger than us, stronger than us, because they're doing a lot more to get down. I mean, I remember hearing from someone that used to be Casemiro's sparring partner, and he'd be sparring welterweights when Casemiro was up at 68, 70 kilos. And he'd be like breaking their ribs and stuff, breaking their jaws and stuff, because he would train and fight up there, do a ridiculous madness to get down to flyweight and then chin people, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's what he's on, do you know what I mean? But that's what they're willing to do, where our fighters will get 5 kilos over their fight weight and be like, oh, I need to move up now, do you know what I mean? Oh, you know what I mean? It's so...
Or even sometimes just a defeat.
Yeah.
Like, it's just something as simple as a defeat.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong, like, sometimes it is, the weight's too much, but you'll know that, you'll see that, like my brother, when he fought with Martinez, you could even see the day later he was drawn to bits. He weren't in the best, and that weren't because he cuts corners or because, you know, he doesn't train hard enough or he doesn't eat right. Because anyone that knows my brother know he's like meticulously professional, like to the point it's annoying. He does everything right. Do you know what I mean? He's really first in the gym, last out. He's really much like that. But sometimes you outgrow the weight, and then it is time. But, you know, there's a lot of fighters now that... I think of all like the bantam and super bantam weights that, like, they're, if they boil down a little bit more, they'd be like a super flyweight or flyweight when they're like 5 foot. Oh, they got big legs. No, you just don't want to get the weight off. Do you know what I mean? But that's why we don't always compete in all of the right, you know, at the world level in all the right places. But that's everyone else's decision of what they do and how they think they can make weight. But yeah, for me, I'll get with anyone. Always have gotten with anyone. Sparred, fought people weights above, just for the opportunity. You know what I mean? But not everyone's like me. You know what I mean?
Just quickly, you mentioned Charlie and that fight. The last time I was here, I actually got a picture on my Instagram with Charlie, and that was just before Martinez, and you can see how drawn he looks. So, and it's interesting that you mentioned that about us Brits competing overseas and sometimes feel like we're being outmanned and outmuscled by fighters across the waters, and that's a reasoning I've never really thought about before.
Yeah, I mean, here's one story for you, yeah. My dad, and the reason I probably have this, yeah, I've been talking about my dad a lot recently in interviews, but the reason I probably have this way of thinking is my dad always thought he could take a weight or two off every fighter. And a lot of the time he was right. When Lawrence Okoli was training with me, Tony Griffiths was our trainer in Repton with our little squad, who was like the junior. We had to be in the seniors because we were all 18, but it was like a youth squad, kind of like 18-year-old, 19-year-olds like me, Billy Beer, Lawrence Cole, even though he was a bit older, Jordan Flynn. It was like a little squad of us. Anyway, Lawrence came and started training with us at 103, 104 kilos. In his eyes, it was a super heavyweight. And my dad said to him, and you could ask him this, my dad said to him, "Now you can make 91 kilos, you could." 3 months later, he was 91 kilos boxing in the ABAs. To the point of the club at the time, Repton, tried saying that right at the last minute, if you box at cruiserweight at 91 kilos, whatever it was called then, heavyweight, and then in amateurs, we're not entering you because they had another boy, you know what I mean? They had their favoured boy in the weight. And obviously we made sure that he did fight, and he did kind of get robbed, to be honest. But what I'm saying is, no one would have thought Lawrence could have dropped down 13 kilos, whatever it was, to fight at cruiserweight. And then he did, and within 18 months he was fighting in the Olympic Games, and now 4 or 5 years later he's a world champion, all at cruiserweight, you know what I mean? And then
so that all simply came from a decision that was made by your dad. So we could have seen Lawrence Okoli potentially turn pro, maybe not hit the GB podium squad, whatever. We could have seen a Lawrence Okoli turn pro as a heavyweight with a completely different story, but this little decision has turned Lawrence down that path, essentially.
Yeah, to a definite certain degree, because there was no plans of him going down the cruiserweight because he looked too big for it. My dad said, no, you can do it, and he fucking did it, and you know what I mean? And look, he's won and gone and done everything there is to do in boxing.
The unsung hero of British boxing, Edward Senior.
And you know what, there's a few more stories, like when Joe Joyce first went into the Earlsfield squad session rather than the fitness session. That was down to my dad as well, I'll be real. And even though he's a fucking madman, yeah, he is. He's a proper fucking lunatic. But, like, when it comes to pushing a fighter and getting them fit and getting them, you know, ready to fight, he was always good at doing that. He's just too much of a madman. He's not politically correct enough for this world. Maybe if it was always about 30 years back, he'd still be operating, but he alienates too many people too easily, you know what I mean?
Oh, brilliant. Right, back to the stuff concerning September 11th. Quick one on Jason Mamra. I know that when we spoke at that Fight Zone show, maybe a month or so ago, we spoke a bit about him, what he's about. Just quickly, once again, on him, for people who hadn't seen that, can we put some expectation on Jason Mamra to bring some serious heat and cause you some problems that you're going to have to work out, essentially?
Of course. I mean, he's backed by the same people as Manny Pacquiao, knucklehead, and you know they don't deal with rubbish fighters.
He's got a good eye, actually.
Yeah, they don't business with rubbish fighters. You know what I mean? Sean Gibbons knows what he's doing. I mean, he brought Casemiro over when he beat Charlie, so they're not in the business of having bad fighters first and foremost. But yeah, of course he's gonna be good. This is world level boxing. You know what I mean? It's my mandatory as well. He's been waiting for his chance, so he's been eager, waiting at the bit. He probably was so livid watching me beat Maruti. He probably looked at that thinking, see, I would have beat him. Do you know what I mean? Like when his fight fell through on Fight Week. So he's going to have the bit between his teeth and he's going to try and chin me like everyone else does. But obviously, he's the fireman and I'm trying to pull it out. Do you know what I mean? So it just is what it is. But he's dangerous. He's explosive. And he's got heavy hand. So I'm going to have to get away from him for as long as possible. And I hope he slows down.
It does intrigue me how you go into fights at times, because tactically, let's just take a fighter like Kieran Conway, because he was in the gym earlier, just off the top of my head. He might fight one fighter like this, another fighter like this, and you know he might have to have wars with some people, avoid some people. With you, we know your game plan and we know what you're good at. You're hit and don't get hit, you're quick on your feet, you're in and out. But it's almost like we know that's what you're going to do. And Maruti knew that was what you were going to do, but it still almost was nigh on impossible for him to stop it. So it's intriguing. Like, is Jason Mamra going to be going into the fight thinking the exact same thing? I know what Sonny Edwards is going to do. Is that how you go into fights, almost knowing what you're going to do? They know what you're going to do, but you just have to hope that you're better than them, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't know if I worded that awfully, but you see where I'm coming from?
I get what you mean, but with me, I focus entirely on what I'm doing because I'm going to make them dance to my tune every single time. It'll be my rhythm, it'll be my range, it'll be my pace, it'll be me letting the shots go when I want to let the shots go. And I'm very good at doing that because I've mastered the sort of fundamental skills of boxing. You know what I mean? Hitting and moving and range, and that's where I've mastered. Like, okay, I might have the biggest punch, or I might not be able to bully people as much or break them down, but I've sort of mastered the route to winning, I think, to a certain way. Not that I've perfected it, but that's what I've tried to excel in. And the way I see it is, if I do everything that I need to do right, I've been in the ring with some of the best fighters at weights and weights above me in the world. You know what I mean? World champions at 3 weights above me. And yes, they all know what I'm going to do. I even looked at Maruti on the Thursday, when we did the face-to-face in the ring with Frank Warren, the man from BT, and I pointed at him and told him exactly what I'm going to do. I said I would be a fool to even try and convince you that I'm going to stand there and meet you. You knock everyone out. You know what I mean? What am I going to do that for? I'm going to try and dance around you and frustrate you for as long as possible and win wide points decision. I told him play for play how I was going to do it. You know what I mean? And because with what I do, one, it's very hard to prepare for, and two, it's very hard to counter it. You know what I mean? And a lot of the time, these fighters, their main attribute is them going forward, and the reason why they get to where they can is because when there's two people going forward, they're usually the physically superior, the stronger, the better knockout artist, a little bit smarter, whatever. But with me, the reason why I win is because I do something that makes them not be able to box in any similar way to what they've been boxing for their whole career. And I've got the fitness to keep up, I've got the focus to keep it up, I've got the engine to keep up, discipline to keep it up. So, you know what I mean? I know I'm a hard puzzle to solve, and 36 minutes is not a long time to do it. Because they can't just come running out trying to swing mill me, because I'll just be keep tagging them, and it's like, I know I'm not the biggest puncher in the world, but trust me, when I dig my feet down and let my hands go out, I don't tickle, do you know what I mean? It's just that when people are just storming, trying to, swarm me, I'll just pick my shots in and out and stay safe. If I need to, if I'm down and there's 4 rounds left, you might see me start walking people back, taking a shot to let hands go, because I can do that. I've exhibited that countless times, that I can do that, especially in sparring to myself and my team. And we can box at that if we need to, but if I can start the fight and think, let me just skim around the edge of the ring, okay, I won the first round clear, 3-4 rounds later where they've not even won a piece of any of those rounds, if I can keep it maintaining like that, and then I get... Billy Joe Saunders showed me that you can go 7 rounds up and then do nothing for the rest of the fight and you still win. 7 rounds is all you need to do to win a fight if you don't get knocked down. And I kind of, do you know what I mean? I'm good at scoring a random head. I know if ones are close, I know if I have to give it to them just because there's a potential that it could have went the other way. So I just do what I need to do to win, and I don't focus too much on trying to change me into what the fighter's doing. Obviously, there's certain things that work better and we work on those things, but you know what I mean? I just express myself, and yeah, you say hope it's enough, but I have so much confidence in my style that I know mentally these fighters are getting beaten. Even if they're not completely showing it. I mean, some fighters are poker face. Yeah, and what happens is their mental needs a break consistently, and it's in those states, when they stand off, or you can see a deep breath, you can kind of see them sighing almost sometimes, they're just getting frustrated. I'll work in them moments, and that's how I'm winning the fights, you know what I mean? Rather than trying to bully everyone and knock everyone out. I'm just trying to, you know what I mean, get in and get out with as least damage to me as possible, and get out in 3-4 months' time after that. That's the route to success for me. I'll be perfectly raw. I mean, maybe if I was one of those people that had got this far by just knocking everyone out, then I'd have a different mentality. I'd be saying to everyone, Sonny Edwards, all he does is run, he's not a proper fighter, but I haven't, so I'm not going to say that, do you know what I mean?